everyone to record.
Oh, okay. Now I can record. Ha
Yeah,
ha
yeah.
ha. Interesting. A lot of technical stuff. Okay.
Wait.
So yeah.
So Eric and I kept talking, and we were talking about that whole interesting decision thing, and I'm going to remember now that you have to translate, and we were carrying on the same conversation, and we were saying we're not supposed to be perfect. We're just supposed to be honest, admit when we make the mistake, learn from it,
Yes.
apologize to someone when we hurt them, make amends.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're supposed to do. We're so
No
obsessed
right
with
or wrong. Either way, the soul, if the soul always learn, no matter whether we make a good or wrong decision, because we are not God, we are still very much, kind of get many noise from our mind. We cannot demand ourselves to always make right decision or superior decision.
Yeah, you just said superior, and wait, do you want to translate any of that before I say the next thing?
对，我就说，我也不知道他们前面讨论什么了，但是就是我的意思就是，实际上不用去纠结正确的还是错误的决定，不管是从我们认为正确的错误决定当中，我们都会学习到，灵魂都会学习到，这就足够了。然后海蒂大概还有话讲。Yep.
Maybe I don't know if we can, but maybe we should stop saying right decision and wrong decision.
他说：“那我们有可能就是应该停止说是正确的还是错误的决定，就这个大概这个思路和术语都不太正确。
As long as I think our job is just to stay on the right track. And see, that's that, and even that, maybe the wrong track is the right track. As long as we're keeping that door open. I think that's keep that door open. The door to the pilot. And we're not going to use those are bad words anymore.
对，那么就是说，我们只要走在对的路上，那么实际上那个不对的路，就相当于就是没有什么所谓，就是我们就是要把这个门要敞开，就是对神的心就一直要敞开的，对这个领航员的这个愿意接受他的引导的这个心要敞开的。
So
Yeah, I think remember that I think in the last paper that we read that is not what we have accomplished, is what we attempt to accomplish. We are trying to accomplish that matters, but not whatever we have accomplished. So as long as we keep our heart toward God, that would lead us to the permanent survival.
God isn't, I don't think God cares very much about our accomplishments. He's just looking in our heart. He always knows, and Jesus and God always know what's in our heart. That's all they care about.
对，神也不是看我们到底取得了什么成就，他其实就看我们的心。
I always use these analogies with little children all the time. And you may think that's funny because I never even had children. But it's because I know that God and Jesus look at us like little children. That's why I always use those analogies. For them, we are little children.
我就是大家不要笑我，总是拿那个小孩子去做比喻，因为我根本都没有孩子。但是实际上，在我们眼里，不是在神眼里，我们就是孩子。
If your child if your little child does something wrong, but you know they were trying so hard to do the right thing, of course you wouldn't be mad. You wouldn't say you did the wrong thing. Of course you wouldn't. It wouldn't matter. Well, all that would matter was that they were trying to do the right thing.
对，如果一个小孩儿就是犯了错误啊，然后那个我们不会太去责备他，只要他们是想要做好的就行了，我们根本不会那么高的要求，一定要做对做好。Yeah,
So do you think we're going to get our
yeah.
do you think we're going to get Fiona and Mimi back?
Uh, it's up to them. I already forwarded the new meeting number to them in the group.
Yeah, I just
They
wonder
are
if we should.
all.
Eric, are you good? Are you Eric, I think it, you asked such a difficult question, but I think it's kind of like you just know, you just know what's right. You just feel it, and that's the easiest answer.
Mhm.
What you mean? I just know.
Yeah, like, how do I know? How do I know which way to go? What thing to do? What decision to make? What God is telling me? And the simplest answer is you just know. Once you open that door, once you ask God to lead you, He leads you. Once you ask God to guide you, He guides you.
Yeah, maybe I'm an engineer, so I always want to find that.
Yeah, technical answer. Yeah,
Yeah, like I want to really hear something or see something.
yeah.
Otherwise, I just don't know this is from my adjuster or not. It's like I don't know. Maybe it's my will. Maybe it's my mind.
Well, here's one thing I always tell people. I call it the litmus test. If you get an actual message, like a thought in your mind that you think might be your thought adjuster, because you're asking a question or you want an answer, if it's not 100% positive, 100% loving, if it's not a message that makes you feel better about yourself, that makes you feel reassured, that comforts you, that encourages you, that very often is something surprising, something you would never say to yourself. If it's not all those things, then it's probably your mind. Because whenever you get a message from your adjuster, it fills you with love and warmth. It comforts you. It's there. It would never criticize you. It would never make you be stern or authoritarian or judgmental or critical or controlling. None of that. So that's one way to know. But if you don't know, the book says if you're not sure, just assume it's your own mind. But as long as it's a good message, if your mind's giving you good messages, that's okay too, because your mind, hopefully, we've been reading about the mind, and the mind can tune into the cosmic mind and get very cosmic messages too. So, your mind's not always wrong either. And then we have the superconscious and the soul. We can think more and more with our soul, and our soul has very good ideas because they come from the adjuster and the mind working together and other spiritual influences. So, as I wouldn't worry too much about where it's coming from, but know that, okay, here's another thing. Here's another good thing. I've found that there's no one way that you find the right path or the right choice or the right decision. It's different every time. The celestial forces, the cosmic forces, your thought adjuster and his coordinators are very, very creative. and it's always interacting with your energy, and you're always changing. So don't expect the same kind of leadings or guidance or signs or feelings, or expect it to always be different and surprising.
Okay, so Rick, you want to translate?
Oh, yeah, good
Eh.
luck with that.
那个就是相当于总的精神就是不要去纠结这个东西到底是从哪儿来的，灵性的，灵魂的还是心智的。啊，当然了，就是你那个如果是灵性比较高层面的那个决定，你大概就比较更有平安。但是，并且就是那个你更高频率的那个来的信息，它会通过各种方式来让你看到，让你了解到，就是它也会我的理解是，它也会渗透到你的头脑里，所以不要就是去过多的去想要去区分那个到底是我的头脑的还是什么神的，我觉得这些的都是灵性，我们上回不是也学到了吗？都是灵性的。就即使我们的心智，它也属于宇宙心智的一部分，所以它是会受到宇宙心智啊或者灵界的影响，不可避免的受到影响。没有说单独的这个头脑做的决定，肯定都是受到影响然后做的决定。其实我认为也是没有必要纠结，是到底是我自己的头脑的，还是更高层次的高我的指引。Yeah.
You know, and you get and you keep changing. You get tuned. You actually get a cosmic tuning as you reach higher spiritual levels. Your body, your chemical, your electromagnetic system gets retuned to a higher frequency. I believe that. Absolutely. So that you're capable of connecting to higher frequencies. Now I have no, that's not from the Urantia book. I can't prove it that I have reasons for believing that. I'll tell you, want to know one reason?
Yeah.
Do you want to translate that before I tell you?
对，他就说你这个，调频哈，往那个更高的频率去调频，你的电磁场的身心都会慢慢的跟这个更高的频率去调谐，那么大概更容易连接到高频率的那个了，信息吧。那他说他有理由去相信，然后他想要继续阐述这一点。Yeah.
Remember last week I told you that and I was asking if you guys got it too, because I wondered if it was just me. I keep getting the chills all the time. Like whenever something cosmic happens or something very true or very right or godly, I get the chills all the time, right?
Yeah，他说上一次我说到，就是当我好像就是跟高频率有链接的时候，总是会起鸡皮疙瘩，身上起鸡皮疙瘩。
So I was watching this, I watched these near death, spiritual experiences on videos, and I was watching one with this, she was an young Asian lady, and she was talking about these spiritual, like maybe a near-death experience. It was probably, but maybe not a near-death experience. I'll let you translate.
对，他就是那天他就是看一个濒死体验的一个亚裔的年轻的女孩，她的濒死体验。
And she, I think she was talking to her guardian angel or something, and she said, she asked about some weird physical experiences she had been having where she would I saw this video a long time ago, so I can't remember exactly what she said, but I remember she was asking about something that was happening to her, and then they explained, oh, that's when you get retuned. We come and retune you when you get to a higher spiritual level. That's when we're retuning your physical body. Like she had somehow felt it or been aware of it.
那个女孩大概就是就问那些的，就是保卫天使的一些问题，然后那些护卫天使就回答说啊，这些的现象都是我们在给你调频，就是把你调到更高的灵性的层次啊，这些行动、这些感觉都是我们在进行调频。就是那女
Now,
孩实际上她感觉到了，然后她就是有一些疑惑。就问这些护卫天使，护卫天使这样回答。Okay.
now I never heard of that before I watched that video or after. I've never heard of that in my life.
对，在这之前看这个 video 之前，我从来没有听说过。
But when she said that, I got the chills on my arms and on my back. I got the chills and they wouldn't go away. I just got waves and waves and waves of chills. I've never had the chills like that. I was like, it was like being electrocuted. I was just chills, 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 chills.
啊，对，但是当他看到这个的时候，他就是胳膊上、背上都在那个起鸡皮疙瘩那种的，一波一波的就还不停。
My body physically reacted so strongly when I heard that.
对，就是他的身体那个非常强烈的对这个信息反应。
And I've never had the chills like that before or after.
对，以前跟这个以后都没有发生过这么强烈的反应。
So that's why I think that is a true thing. That's the reason I think, yes, we do get, our bodies do get attuned, because I can't explain why I had that reaction when she said that.
他说大概就是真的是有调频的这一说，对，他会上界会就是帮我们调频的，有这回事。
And it makes sense because at different times in my life, I was capable of seeing more. My eyes were capable of seeing more, or hearing more, or smelling more, or different kinds of experiences. Like my senses were enhanced.
对，他就说这是他可以也在很多不同的时间，他可以看到大概看得更清晰，听得更清晰，那个嗅觉也会变得敏感啊，他这五官呢，这种好像都会变得更敏感，就是功能加强。
Also, I know that on the Marancha worlds, that's what they do. You only get a new body once in a while. Most of the time, you're just being retuned.
对，他就说他就是在那个灵智性世界哈，你只是偶尔得到一个新的身体，其他的时间呢，你就是相当于只是在原有的身体上被重新调频。
Now, I'm not saying that everyone on earth gets these retunings, but I think if you are getting to a higher frequency or closeness with God, you do get a retuning. I think it's probably pretty rare, but I think it does happen.
并不是说在地球上的人每个人都会是被受到调频，但 可能是比较很少一部分人对就是被调频，但实
And
际上这个调频的这个操作是发生的，对，是肯定是有发生的。
and it may not it Eric, this still has to do with your question. It may not be that you have stronger gut feelings. You may, but it may just be that you are learning to pay more attention to them and interpret them better.
对，并不是说你每次都会有那种什么很强的直觉，只是你可能你的注意力更往那方面去。
Okay, do we want to read? It's 8:30. Should we read, Ricky?
Yeah, this is not that long. This small session is not that long.
You know, I'm always happy to read. Are we?
It's only 2 pages.
Yeah, let's do it right now. What are we at the evolving soul?
Yeah. the
Okay.
third evolving soul.
Okay, we're still in the adjuster section. We're on paper 111, the adjuster and the soul, section paper 111, the adjuster and the soul, section 3, the evolving soul.
对，
And
我们继续读第111篇调整者和灵魂。那么第3节是进化中的灵魂。
And the reason I'm talking a little funny today is because there's something wrong with my tongue.
他说今天说话稍微有一点那个不同，因为他的大概舌头上，我估计他是不是起溃疡，有点小问题。
So it's actually kind of hard for me to talk clearly because my
哦
a part of my I know I'll eat pineapple. Whenever you eat pineapple, it fixes anything wrong with your tongue.
他是大概我估计他长溃疡了。对。 You think pineapple heal your problem or it's causing your problem?
No, it heals it. You know that you get these like we call them canker sores, or I forget what you call
Yeah.
them. Yeah, on your tongue, and then it's like a little and it's in a place where it's hard to talk. I just got it right before the meeting, but if
Oh.
you eat pineapple, it cures it immediately.
他认为那个菠萝呀，会就是治疗口腔溃疡，就是他舌头上长了一块溃疡。他说他要用这个菠萝去，应该会马上会起效的。
So now that I discovered that, I always have some canned pineapple at home just for emergencies.
他就是家里边常备就是罐头的，菠萝，这样的话呢，以备不时之需。
Oh, so Eric, I was just going to say before we read that as you get more in tuned, it's easier and easier for you to feel which are the right decisions or the better decisions or to stay aligned with your thought adjustment. It gets easier and easier to determine. You just feel it. So just stick with it, and it'll get easier and easier.
Okay, thank you.
他就是说你那个越来越操练的跟思想调整者同频，那么你做决定，你就会越来越，大概就是这个直
Like
觉会越来越敏感吧。
like whenever I'm being mean, like I was on the phone with some customer service people yesterday, and they annoy me, and I start being mean, and I just immediately get this feeling of like of like, why are you being so mean to that lady, that nice girl? You know, why are you being so mean? And I just say, okay, I'm gonna be nice.
他说昨天他就会对一些客服啊，一些服务的客服人员，他就开始啊，就是那个，表现很那个，很不客气。然后他马上就有一个直觉说，哎，你为什么对那个可怜的女孩这种态度？然后他马上就停止。
And then you get immediately rewarded for switching track.
对，马上外境大概就会转换到另外一个频道了。
The next woman I talked to, I wasn't even being very nice. And she said, and because I had a few calls to make, and she said, "You are the nicest person I talked to all day today. Thank you so much." And I wasn't even being very nice, but I was nicer than I was before.
他说在第二个他就是讲话的那个客服的，他就会态度好一些，但是也没有太好。但是那个女的却说，那你是我今天，就是讲话的，对我讲话态度最好的。他说他都没有那么觉得那么好太多，但是至少比前一个要好很多，就是我收到这样的一个反馈。
And that was just to show me how important it is, how much it can make the difference of someone's whole day. You know, I mean, imagine they're dealing with nasty people all day. You can be that one person that makes them feel good, but you have to listen to the voice inside. I listened to the voice. I heard a voice that said, "Be nice, stop being so mean." Why are you being so mean?
对，他就说，你想这些客服的人，他一整天都要听人的抱怨啊，听人的坏脾气。如果有一个人跟他好好讲话，那么对他来说也是很那个的报偿。对，
It's okay. The evolving soul. The mistakes of mortal mind and the errors of excuse me, sorry. I'm just wondering how much. I think I'll read a few paragraphs, okay?
嗯
The mistakes of mortal mind and the errors of human conduct may markedly delay the evolution of the soul, although they cannot inhibit such a Marancha phenomenon when once it has been initiated by the indwelling adjuster with the consent of the creature will. But at any time prior to mortal death, this same material and human will is empowered to rescind such a choice and to reject survival. Even after survival, the ascending mortal still retains this prerogative of choosing to reject eternal life. At any time before fusion with the adjuster, the evolving and ascending creature can choose to forsake the will of the Paradise Father. Fusion with the adjuster signalizes the fact that the ascending mortal has eternally and unreservedly chosen to do the Father's will. Well, you may as well translate that. I mean, read it in Chinese, yeah.
，Eric，你方便读吗？读这个翻译的部分。
可以啊。
嗯
111.3.1，凡人心智犯错和人类行为上的错误，可能会显著延迟灵魂的进化。然而，一旦内住调整者在受造物意志的同意下启动灵质化，这些错误也无法阻止这样一个灵质化现象。但是在凡人死亡之前的任何时候，这同样的物质和人类意愿有权撤销这样的选择，并拒绝续存。即使在续存之后，扬升的凡人仍然保留这种拒绝永恒生命的特权。在与调整者融合之前的任何时候，进化和扬升中的受造物都可以选择放弃天堂之父的旨意， 与调整者融合，意味着这样一个事实：扬升中的凡人已经永远而毫无保留地选择了执行天父的意志的旨意。OK，
Okay, so next paragraph. During the life in the flesh, the evolving soul is enabled to reinforce the supermaterial decisions of the mortal mind. The soul, being supermaterial, does not of itself function on the material level of human experience. Neither can this sub-spiritual soul, without the collaboration of some spirit of deity, such as the adjuster, function above the Morancha level. Neither does the soul make final decisions until death or translation divorces it from material association with the mortal mind, except when and as this material mind delegates such authority freely and willingly to such a Morancha soul of associated function. During life, the mortal will, the personality power of decision choice, is resident in the material mind circuits. As terrestrial mortal growth proceeds, this self, with its priceless powers of choice, becomes increasingly identified with the emerging Morancha soul entity. After death and following the mansion world resurrection, the human personality is completely identified with the Morancha self. The soul is thus the embryo of the future Morancha vehicle of personality identity. You can read that.
OK， 111.3.2，在肉体生命期间，进化中的灵魂能够加强凡人心智的超物质决定。灵魂是超物质的，无法单独在人类经验的物质层面上发挥作用，除非有某些神灵的灵性的合作，比如思想调整者，否则这个是什么？不好意思，我说简体看不太懂。否则这个什么灵性的灵魂无法在灵质性层面上发挥作用，除非
那个是亚洲的亚，简体字可能你看不明白。亚灵性
哦，否则这个亚灵性的灵魂无法在灵质性层面以上发挥作用，除非这个物质心智自愿热意将这种权利授予这样一个合作的灵质性灵魂，否则直到死亡或转移将其与凡人心智的物质联系分离之前，灵魂都不会做出最终决定。在生命中，凡人的意志及决定选择的人格力量驻留在物质心智回路中。随着地球凡人的成长，这个有着无价的选择力量的自我，越来越多地与新的灵质性灵魂体认同。在死亡和随后的宅下世界复活之后，人类人格与灵质性自我完全认同，因此灵魂是未来灵质性人格身份的胚胎。Okay, I'm not sure what I'm reading.
I'll read now, starting with this immortal soul. Okay. You guys know where I am?
Yeah, I know. You're on third paragraph.
Yeah. I'm always wrong, so I know I'm wrong. But I thought I was at the one that said this immortal soul is at first holy. That's not where I am. I'm at during the life in the flesh. No, where am I?
This immortal soul.
Oh, okay. I was for once I was in the right place. Okay. So this immortal soul is at first wholly Marancha in nature, but it possesses such a capacity for development that it invariably ascends to the true spirit levels of fusion value with the spirits of deity, usually with the same spirit of the universal Father that initiated such a creative phenomenon in the creature mind. Both the human mind and the divine adjuster, this is so interesting, both the human mind and the divine adjuster are conscious of the presence and differential nature of the evolving soul. The adjuster fully, the mind partially. The soul becomes increasingly conscious of both the mind and the adjuster as associated identities proportioned to its own evolutionary growth. The soul partakes of the qualities of both the human mind and the divine spirit, but persistently evolves toward augmentation of spirit control and divine dominance through the fostering of a mind function whose meanings seek to coordinate with true spirit value. I'm going to keep reading to the end. The mortal career, the soul's evolution, is not so much a probation as an education. Faith in the survival of supreme values is the core of religion. Genuine religious experience consists in the union of supreme values and cosmic meanings as a realization of universal reality. Mind knows quantity, reality, meanings, but quality, values, is felt. That which feels is the mutual creation of mind, which knows, and the associated spirit, which realitizes. Wow, wow, wow. Insofar as man's evolving Marancha soul becomes permeated by truth, beauty, and goodness as the value realization of God consciousness, such a resultant being becomes indestructible. If there is no survival of eternal values in the evolving soul of man, then mortal existence is without meaning, and life itself is a tragic illusion. But it is forever true. What you begin in time, you will assuredly finish in eternity, if it is worth finishing. Whoa, that's amazing.
Okay, so
It's all yours, Eric.
111.3.3，在这个不朽的灵魂起初在本质上完全是灵质性的，但它具有如此的发展能力，以至于它总是扬升到与神灵的灵性融合、价值的真正灵性层次，通常是与在受造物心智中发起这种创造性现象的万有之父同样的灵性融合。人类心智和神圣调整者都意识到进化中灵魂的存在及其分化的本质。调整者完全意识到，心智部分意识到，随着自身进化的成长，灵魂相应地越来越意识到心智和调整者作为合伙身份的存在。灵魂同样具有人类心智和神灵灵性这两者的品质，但通过培养一种心智功能，心智功能的意义就是寻求与真正灵性价值协调，朝着增加灵性控制和神性支配的目标持续进化。凡人生来灵魂的进化不是一种试炼，而是一种教育，对至高价值 续存的信仰是宗教的核心。Ricky 要再往上滑一下。真正的宗教体验在于至高价值和宇宙意义的合一，是对宇宙实相的领悟。精致知道数量、实相和意义，但质量、价值是要去感受的。感受到的东西是能知的心智与相关的能做的灵性的共同创造。只要人进化中的灵质性灵魂逐渐充满真理，美和良善，作为神意识的价值实现，这样一个结果性的存有将是不灭的。如果在人类进化灵魂中没有永存价值的续存，那么凡人存在就毫无意义。生命本身就是一个悲剧性的幻象，但永恒的真理是，你在时间中开始的一切，如果值得完成，你一定会在永恒中完成。OK，
So, this is just so packed full of good information.
They are very dense.
Yeah, very dense. This
Short,
answers
but
a lot
very
of questions I've been asking in the last few sessions.
Yes.
Okay, so just the first part's easy. The mistake. Oh well, it's actually the very first part's just what we were talking about. The very beginning. The mistakes of mortal mind and the errors of human conduct. We were just talking about mistakes and errors. May markedly delay the evolution of the soul, although they cannot inhibit such a miraculous phenomena when once it has been initiated by the indwelling adjuster with the consent of the creature will. So what they're saying is the soul starts evolving when you consent. It's all about, I'm just going to say it over and over, opening the door. Your job is to consent, is to allow, that's it. Allow. Just say, yes, you have my permission. That's your job. Once you do that, you give your consent, the soul is going to start evolving and it can't, nothing can stop it. But when you make errors and mistakes, you can delay the evolution. You won't stop it, but you will delay it. But they're talking about the mistakes of mortal mind and the errors of human conduct. When they're talking about mistakes and errors, I don't think they're talking about, I think they're talking about more, I don't know, but I think they're talking about the more like the mistakes and errors that you don't realize you made for a while. You know, like when you go off track, when you're not in touch with your thought adjuster anymore, when you lose touch with God, those, when you kind of really go off. We were talking a little while ago about just decisions where you're trying to do the right thing, but you just get it wrong. That's that. Do you understand what I'm saying, you guys? That's kind of a different level of mistake.
就是第一句话就是我们心智犯错，人类行为错误啊，显著延迟灵魂的进化。但是他是认为这个地方的错误往往就是说跟思想调整者断掉联系之后犯的错误，而不包括说我们试图做对的事情，但是实际上是好像显得是那个结果是证明是错误，不包括这个，因为这个我们的意图是很重要的。那么它第二句相当于就是受造物意志的统一，就是说我们要同意，要就开门，要允许神来引导我们。那么在这个情况下呢，就是实际上错误也没有办法阻止灵智化，我们的灵魂的进展。
You know, like if I'm rude to the girl, the customer service lady, and then I realize I'm being rude and I fix it and be nice, that's different than rejecting God and going on a drug and alcohol binge for 5 years and and becoming an atheist, right? You know, they're two different things.
他说：“你看，如果我对那个客服的女孩儿，就是意识到对她态度不好，我就赶快改正过来。那跟那个你说，哎，你就是变成了酗酒者，然后呢，完了之后你也没有听从什么内在的引导，你变得更不信神了，成为无神论，它就是两个不同的方向。”
They're here. They're not talking about little wrong decisions here that you can just learn from and grow from. They're talking about big mistakes and errors that actually delay the growth of your soul.
对，他这个地方的错误不是指的那小小的错误啊，而是指比较大的错误，能够耽搁灵魂的成长的错误。
But you know, most likely we've all been in periods of our life where we did delay the growth of our soul.
对，生命当中有的时候我们的一些错误的确会耽误灵魂的成长，
or many of us.
很多这样的错误。
But it doesn't, but even that doesn't doesn't kill the soul. The soul, once you consented to have your soul be born and start growing, it's going to still be there. You can delay the growth, but you're not really stopping it.
对，一旦你有这个同意，这个灵魂就是出生了之后，那就是他就一直在，但是呢，错误会延迟他的成长。
The only way to stop it after it starts evolving is to reject God, to choose to reject God and to reject survival. And these are the people that, if you choose that in this life, your thought adjuster goes away and you don't make it to the Marancha worlds. If you choose it in the Marancha world, and you can, it says right here, you can choose to reject life at any time before fusion with the adjuster. I'm reading the can forsake the will of the para. So that, okay. At any time when you right up until you fuse with your adjuster, sometime on the Maranta worlds, you can reject God, reject survival, and then you will cease to be. You won't exist anymore.
对，那个但是你只要不是主观的那个去拒绝神，那么就是不能够阻止灵魂的成长。但是你就是主观意志拒绝神，那么你相当于就对那个并且对没有不愿意跟这个神去融合，那你的灵魂大概就没有续存的可能。
Once you fuse, you have, it says fusion with the adjuster signalizes the fact that the ascending mortal, this is the last sentence in that first paragraph, that the ascending mortal has eternally and unreservedly chosen to do the Father's will. That you fuse when there's no question anymore. There's no doubt. You're just completely, it's like I was talking about the process of falling in love. By then you're married. You're in it. Nothing's gonna tear you apart. So I'm just gonna hold on one moment, please.
在这最后一句，调整者融合意味着这样一个事实：扬升中的凡人已经永远而毫无保留地选择了执行天父的旨意。这个就是达到永久的续存。但是这融合之前的任何时候，你都可以选择放弃。 天堂之父的旨意，就是你都可以有选择放弃续存的机会。中间是说到，即使你续存之后啊，如果你想拒绝永恒生命，然后在融合之前，你都还是有机会放弃的。所以他就是说，在我们在第一段，相当于就是在凡人死亡之前，我们有权拒绝续存。但是呢，选择续存之后，阳生了已经阳生的凡人，如果还想拒绝的永恒生命，那还是有可以拒绝。就是他在只要在融合彻底的 fuse 彻底的融合之前，他都有各个阶段都是有机会拒绝的。你都有自由意志选择续存还是选择永久融合，这是都是可以 exercise 我们的自由意志。
I'm so sorry. Can you read the next section?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. I'll be right. I'll let you know when I'm back.
第二，我就往下再读。刚才那个艾瑞克读，我还没来得及读一读。在肉体生命期间，进化中的灵魂能够加强凡人心智的超物质决定。灵魂是超物质的，无法单独在人类经验的物质层面上发挥作用。除非有某些神灵的灵性的合作，比如调整者，否则这个亚灵性的灵魂无法在灵智性层面上发挥作用。除非这个物质心智自愿乐意将这种权利授予这样一个合作的灵智性灵魂，否则直到死亡或转移将其与凡人心智的物质联系分离之前，灵魂都不会做出最终决定。在生命中，凡人的意志及决定选择的人格力量驻留在物质心智回路中。随着地球凡人的成长，这个有着无价的选择力量的自我，越来越多的与新兴的灵智性灵魂体认同。在死亡和随后的宅下世界复活之后，人类人格与灵智性自我完全认同。因此，灵魂是未来灵智性人格身份的胚胎。这个不朽的灵魂起初在本质上完全是灵智性的，但它具有如此的发展能力，以至于它总是扬升到与神灵的灵性融合价值的真正灵性层次。通常是与在受造物心智中发起这种创造性现象的万有之父同样的灵性融合。人类心智和神圣调整者都意识到进化中灵魂的存在及其分化的本质。调整者完全意识到，心智部分意识到。随着自身进化的成长，灵魂相应的越来越意识到，心智和调整者作为合伙身份的存在， 灵魂同样具有人类心智和神圣神性这两者的品质，但通过培养一种心智功能。心智功能的意义就是寻求与真正灵性价值协调，朝着增加灵性控制和神性支配的目标持续进化。凡人生涯灵魂的进化不是一种试炼，而是一种教育。对至高价值续存的信仰是宗教的核心。真正的宗教体验在于至高价值和宇宙意义的合一，是对宇宙实相的领悟。心智知道数量、实相和意义，但质量、价值是要去感受的。感受到的东西是能知的心智与相关的能做的灵性的共同创造。只要人进化中的灵智性灵魂逐渐充满真理、美和良善，作为神意识的价值实现，这样一个结果性的存有将是不灭的。如果在人类进化灵魂中没有永恒价值的续存，那么凡人存在就毫无意义。生命本身就是一个悲剧性的幻象，但永恒的真理是，你在时间中开始的一切，如果值得完成，你一定会在永恒中完成。这一部分其实蛮难的哈，Eric。
对啊，我看也是觉得没有那么好懂，尤其是那个3.2，更是3.2，我觉得更难懂，对我来说啦。之前有讲到这个意志或是心智是什么时候人类获得这个东西吗？
嗯，好像是就是人格，它是人格的固有的一个特性，并且人格本身也是赋予的，就是说相当于给我们两样法宝，一个就是我们的人格，另外一个就是思想调整者，这两个好像都是属于父神他亲自赋予的一个东西。
对啊，这个人格好像就是包含着心，就包含着意志嘛，will。
对对对，自由意志，它只要有自由意志的那个受造物，它就是
就有人格，
人格，具有人格。
就有人格。
对对
那这个人格应该是一出生就有人格了嘛？
对对对对，每个个体相当于它之所以被称为一个个体，那么就是它是有自由意志的，才会被称为这么一个个体。
那另外就是这个心智应该不是跟着人格的吧？心智
心智，不是心智。
外的。
当然，心智它是作为人格的一个基本的功能，它都有这个功能，所以呢，这个 free will 相当于人格的 free will，它是可以，就是心智它就是一个工具，它可以用这个 free will 那个来干不同的功能，嗯，来来行动嘛。你行动的话，对，你是就相当于火，你用火来烧房子，还是用火来烹调？这个火就相当于是心智的功能，但是呢，你想要用这个心智来达成什么目的，那么是自由意志决定的。
嗯哼。
它是通过这个物质心智回路来起作用，
对，这边有讲什么？
对无价的选择力量的自我越来越多的。对，就是说这个自由意志，如果是驱使着这个心智呢，与新兴的灵智性灵魂体认同。
Okay, I'm back. I'm so sorry.
然后这样的话，这个灵魂它就会越来越长，就是成长，越来越发育，就是促进这个胚胎越来越发育。
嗯哼，
不然的话呢，那个自由意志如果驱使着这个心智越来越 away，跟灵性越来越 away，就像夫妻俩越来越离心离德啊，那个孕育出来的孩子他也不健康，没准活几天就死了。你要两个人非常相爱，那么孕育出来的胚胎就很健壮，先天很足，就长得很好，对吧？就能够续存下来，就这样一个概念。
嗯哼。
嗨，海迪 ，Hello。
Hello, I'm here.
Yeah, and we feel like the second paragraph is quite difficulty, so we kind of trying to understand the second paragraph.
Okay, that's just during the life in the flesh, the evolving soul is enabled to reinforce. Oh, yeah, this was really interesting. During the life in the flesh, I love this. Is it the evolving soul is enabled to reinforce the supermaterial decisions of the mortal mind. Okay, so let's just take it one sentence at a time. So that lets us know that supermaterial, that during your life, your soul is, it's kind of like an extra booster, an extra power supply for your spiritual revelations and understandings and your highest thoughts. Now, when they say the super material mind, I'm really not sure if how much of there. I don't think that's the thought adjuster. I think that's just more of your cosmic mind. I think that your human mortal mind has three parts. It has the cosmic mind, the conscious mind, and the subconscious mind. Don't hold me to this, but this is what I think so far. So when they say super material mind, I think they mean more like your higher thoughts, the cosmic mind.
就是这个地方它有一个词叫超物质的，就是人类心智的超物质的决定。那么超物质的部分，它是说人类的心智它有那个表层的意识啊，有潜意识啊，还有那种宇宙的意识啊。那个大概就是这个超物质的这个部分，大概就是那个宇宙意识的部分。
And the other thing is, then it says the second sentence, the soul being super material. So that's that's one super material part, because in a way your soul is separate from your mind, but it's very, very much coordinated with your mind. So the soul being super material does not of itself function on the material level. Neither can this okay, so they're saying the soul is not really well, I always say this, it's not on the material level. The soul is a morantial reality, but it's right here in our physical, it's connected to this mortal physical being, but so is your thought adjuster, which is pure spirit. So even though we're mortal creatures, we are perfectly capable of being the home of spirit entity, a super material, a morantial entity, a cosmic mind. That's why it's so funny that people don't believe in God and they don't believe in anything. There's such a spirit, we're such spiritual beings. We're really only partially physical.
对，那个所以呢，那个灵魂嘛，它不是一个灵质体嘛，它是相当于半灵性半物质的，相当于它是超物质的。 对，那么相当，但是并且这个灵魂呢，它又在这个在居住在人的心识当中，所以就是人的心识，它是有那个非物质的，就是灵性的部分，它是这样的一个渐进的一个互相这种交织的和交叉的一个功能，这样的。
But the choice of words is interesting because in this first sentence here in the second paragraph it says, excuse me, during the life in the flesh, okay, this life, the evolving soul isn't able to reinforce the supermaterial decisions. There's that word again, decisions of the mortal mind. So what it's telling us is we are making super material decisions in this life right now. And those would be probably the decisions guided by our thought adjusters and by our guardian angels and by the spirit of truth and by, you know, so what happens is when we make these decisions, maybe there's material forces that try to undo these decisions or change our mind, but the soul is reinforcing them. It's making them, the stronger our soul is, the stronger those decisions will be. It reinforces them. Does that make sense?
如果我们有那种，就是因为我们是一个凡人的物质身体，凡人的心智，那么如果我们能够，就是我们能够做出一些比较灵性的、高级的那种决定，肯定是有神灵的灵性的合作，调整者层次的合作，并且这个灵魂进化中，这个灵魂能够加强这凡人心智的超物质决定，就是他没有这个灵魂的参与，大概人就没有办法在灵智性层面就做出一些比较超物质的决定，它是这样一些合作的关系。
It says the soul being super material. Well, that's Maranchal. It's the soul is, the spirit is this thought adjuster is a spirit. It's a spiritual being. The soul is a Maranchal being. Maranchal is the phase of reality between mortal and spiritual. But so what they're telling us is the soul, it's not spiritual, it's not material, it's Maranchal. So it doesn't exist on the mortal level of human experience. So even though it's coordinating with your mind, it's not in your material mind. You have to reach up to think with your soul, to access your soul, to feel with your soul. You have to reach up past the material part of yourself. You have to reach up to the Maranchal level. It's not in your material mind, it's on its own level. Does that make sense?
这个灵魂呢，它是半物质、半物质心智、半灵性的，它没有办法单独在物质层面上发挥作用。I didn't catch much.
Okay, it's okay. It's not easy, you know, these things are tricky. So there's 3 levels. There's the material, which is what we think
Yeah,
about.
that's part I already
Yeah.
explained. You know, the soul is half, you know, it's kind of combination of physical and
not, but it's not really,
spiritual.
it's not really, it's not I mean, you could say it's a combination for sure, but it's really a separate, completely separate entity. It's formed, it's in between the spiritual and the material. It's its own reality. And it's
对，
it's
灵魂有它的实相，它是半灵性半物质的，有它的实相。
it has a lot in common with material, reality, but it's much more spiritual.
它当然跟物质性实相有认同的部分，但是它大部分还是属于灵性。
So they're just they're just saying, hey, the soul isn't part of your material self. It's a separate morantial reality. That's all they're saying. It can't operate on the spiritual plane either, unless the thought adjuster or spiritual deity assists us, enables it to. By itself, it can't operate on the spiritual plane. By ourselves, we can't operate on a spiritual plane. But with the thought adjuster, we can go to spiritual places. So can the soul, but not by itself. Just like we can't go to the spiritual plane by ourselves. You need a spiritual being to help you.
对，就像我们这个凡人心是没有办法单独在灵智性层面发挥作用，那么这个亚灵性的灵魂也没有办法单独在灵性层面发挥作用，就是它一定要有神性的灵性的合作，才能够在
So
在
our
灵性层
soul,
面发挥作用。
I'm sorry. So our soul is part of us, but it's not just like our spirit, our thought adjuster is part of us, but it's not part of our material self. That's all they're saying. The soul is part of us too, but it's not part of our material self. That's all they're saying in that sentence.
这都是不同的层次的那个实相，对，它是我们的一部分，但是不是物质性的我们的一部分。
And then I just added to confuse things. I just added, when you want to access your soul, you have to reach up to the morantial level to do it. It's not sitting in your mind just, hey, now I want to think with my soul. You can't, you have to reach up to the morantial level. So you have to switch gears. You have to change the channel. If you want
对，
to,
就像你接触灵魂，你必须要在灵智性层面来接触到灵魂，是吧？你这个思想调整者呢，他在灵性的层面，他就是不同的层面，你没办法在物质的层面来接触到你的灵魂，来接触到你的思想调整者。
when I started the discussion today, and I'm saying, maybe we're thinking about things all wrong here. Maybe there's another way of looking at things. I'm trying to think with my soul when I do that. I'm trying to look at it from the soul's perspective. Because all these things we do make perfect sense from the material perspective. But I'm saying maybe we should start looking at it from the soul perspective. That's
对，在
what I'm
物质
talking
层
about.
面，我们会看到很多的事情都是就是不对劲的，但是在灵魂的层面也许就不一样。那么我们要更多的采用灵魂层面的一些的视角来观察问题，来判断问题，而不是在物质层面。
It's like when we think with our conscious mind, we think about matter. And then when we think with our superconscious mind, we start thinking about the meanings, what matters. And then when we think with our soul, we think, well, God is what matters. Everything matters. We're going to live eternal life. So maybe these little things we're so worried about don't even matter at all. So that's, anyway, now I'm getting off track. So
对，就在比较低的层次，我们认为很重要的，没准高一个层次，可能就观点就不同了，我们得到的价值观也不同了。
okay. Neither can, all right, this is really cool. Neither can this sub-spiritual soul, without the collaboration of some spirit deity, such function on the above the martial level. Okay, we talked about that. Neither does the soul, oh, I love this. Neither does the soul make final decisions until death or translation divorces it from material association with the mortal mind, except when and as this material mind delegates such authority freely and willingly to such a Marancha soul of associated function. I love this. So what it's saying is the Marancha, that neither does the soul make final decisions. So even the decision to reject God or survival or to take the God's path, the soul cannot make any decisions while we're in the mortal body. Our free will lives in our mortal mind until death. Then the soul takes over from our mortal mind. Then our free will lives in our soul, and then it makes the decisions. But what's so cool is it says except when and as this material mind delegates such authority freely and willing to the Marancha soul. So anytime we want, we can say, hey, take over, you drive. I don't want to use my mortal mind anymore. I want you to make the decisions. I want to think we can do it. This is what I've been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks. We can start living our Marancha life here if we choose to.
这个那一句就是这个物质心智哈，可以自愿就是把这个决定权的权利授予这个合作性的灵智性的灵魂，就是相当于用这个灵魂来思考，灵魂来做决定，就是说可以，所以我们实际上可以在肉身的时候选择以灵魂来生活，以灵魂来做主导的生活。
Right now in this lifetime, our soul is like our thought adjuster. It exists as a part of us, but it always defers to our free will. Our material being is where our free will is in this life. So our free will that's making all the decisions is in our material mind. That's why it's so confusing. That's why it's so hard for us. Because we're making decisions with our lowest part of ourselves. So that's why we have to train ourselves to say, okay, I have a decision to make. I'm going to defer to my soul. I'm going to give my soul permission to take over. I'm going to give my thought adjuster permission to guide me. We have to use our free will to let them lead us, because they cannot do it without our consent.
对，所以我们在凡人的时候为什么很难啊？因为我们就是那个自由意志居住在我们的头脑里边，我们用这个比较低的这个物质的心智来做决定。那所以我们要开始训练我们的头脑，就将用我们的自由意志，将这个决定权交给我们的灵魂，交给我们的思想调整者，给他们允许来就是来主导我们的人生吧，这个意思。
The good news is that even though our will, hold on. During life, the mortal will, the personality power of decision choice, is resident in the material mind. As terrestrial, but this is the good news, as terrestrial mortal growth proceeds, as we grow, this self with its priceless powers of choice, our mortal self with our free will, becomes increasingly identified with the emerging soul. So it starts off where our mind is over here and our soul is just evolving over there. But as we evolve and grow in our life, as we defer to our soul more and more and think with our soul and acknowledge our soul and feel feelings that are emanating from our soul starts to merge with our mind. It does start during this life, becomes increasingly identified with the Marancha soul entity. So it becomes easier to make decisions with our soul, because our soul is becoming more and more entwined with our free will still lives in our mortal mind, but our mind is becoming, you could say, soulified. You know, it's becoming more soulful, you could say.
对，那就是你这个心智越来越多的让位臣服于这个灵魂呢，你就是这个心智就灵魂化了，就变得更属灵了嘛。那就是跟这个灵智性灵魂更认同嘛，也都是用这个自由意志的这个力量来实现这个灵智化。
And then the last sentence, two
I
sentences.
maybe have one question.
Sure.
So here it said this self. So this self is referring to the mortal will.
I'm looking for
Just the one we just.
this self. Yeah, I see it. During life, the mortal will, the personality power of decision, is resident in the material mind circuits, okay, in our material mind. As terrestrial mortal growth proceeds, as we grow and evolve, this self with its priceless powers of choice. So yeah, this is where it gets really confusing, because we've got a personality, we've got a mind, we've got a will, we've got a thought adjuster, we've got a soul. So it gets pretty confusing, right? There's a lot going on in there. So when they say self, who are they talking about? Well, I think it sounds to me like they're saying that wherever our free will is, that's where our self is. So our free will is in our mind. So our self is right now a material self with a free will and a material mind. But when we die, when we go to the Marancha world, this self transfers into the Marancha body, and the Marancha soul is our Marancha mind. Then our free will, this self, transfers into the Marancha being. So right now, the self means it seems to be our identity, which is our personality combined with our free will. That's the closest I can get. They don't really explain it, but that's what I think I think it has to do with our personality, which is, I think maybe our personality is integrated with our free will. I think maybe our free will is what makes us a person. I don't think you can have a person without a free will.
这个 Eric 的问题就是中间那一句的那个自我那个 self during life mortal will 那一句，那里边的那长句的那个 self 那自我指的是什么？那么，海底就说那个，你看像我这些的词跟自我有关系，这些词哈，有人格呀，有心识啊，自由意志啊，思想调整者呀，灵魂呢，啊。那么这个自我到底指的是什么？那么就是他认为这自我是就是有自由意志的部分。那么就相当于凡人心识，我觉得这个地方应该是凡人心识吧，有自由意志的凡人心识。那么到了月远下，那到那个灵智性世界的，那么就是灵智性的头脑，就指的那个是自我。它是一个身份的认同，就是相当于人格加上有自由意志的人格，就指的是这个自我。
You know, our self is the part of us, like we would still be ourself if our thought adjuster left us, I mean, we'd be a very hollow, empty self, but we would still be ourself without a soul. But we would still be ourself even if our mind didn't work so well. But still worked. I mean, once it stops working, then we're still ourself, but then we're no longer alive in and we go to the next world automatically. That's something else. But our self changes from a material to a morantial to a spiritual being over time. But it has to be resident in a form, and it's associated with the spirit until it fuses. When it fuses, then our self and the spirit are one self. But that's, yeah, our self is associated with our personality and free will, for sure, for sure.
对，这个自我呢，可以从物质性的形式到灵质性的形式，到完全灵性的形式，但是对它总是在一个形式当中。但是当与思想调整者融合之后呢，它就跟思想调整者成为一，成为那个新的那个本体。
So the wonderful thing is that the soul is evolving throughout our life, but as our life, this mortal life progresses, our self becomes increasingly identified with the soul. So we become, by the time we go to the Maranta world, if we've been evolving in this life, we're already using that Maranta soul a little bit anyway. We're already partway there. It's not like a complete switch from the material mind to the soul mind or the Maranchal mind. We've already been integrating that soul and using it more and more as we get older and older, or more and more evolved. So that's what they're saying. We as a self, as a personality with free will, are choosing consciously or unconsciously to identify more and more with our soul. We're just, it's like anything else. It's just a habit. We're just getting used to using it, and we're getting better at it. I hope that makes some kind of sense.
灵魂因为在我们肉身的生命当中一直在不停的进化嘛，我们呢，在这个养生计划过程当中，越来越跟这个灵魂去认同，所以呢，我们可以跟这个我们的灵智性的，灵魂就越来越有意识、无意识的，这个就变成我们新的自我。就不一定说等到我们进入宅下世界之后，才变成那个灵智性自我，而是在这个物质界慢慢的跟他认同的话，也是在活出一个灵智性的生命自我。
But here it says, after death, the human personality is completely identified with the Marancha self. So now they're using, yeah, okay, so they're saying the self, okay, I'm sorry then. I take back what I said about the self being personality. I take that back. Forget I said that. So they're saying the self is more like the mind, because our mortal mind, our free will is, see, I think I should leave here, the human personality. It's really, really, really complicated because there's so many parts, and they don't make it very clear. I have to say, I hate to criticize the the holy, this holy book. But the human personality is completely identified with the Marancha self. I mean, you know, this self becomes increasingly identified with the emerging soul. So okay, they're just saying that the self.
I was thinking this self mean the personality, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, but then the last sentence says the human personality is completely identified with the Marancha self. Right? How do you identify with something if you are that thing? Right?
No, personality, the Morantia
人类
self,
人格
I was
，Yeah，
thinking, Morantia self, I was thinking is the soul. It's not?
Yes, I think so. And I think if the Marancha self is the soul, then the mortal self has to be the human mind. It has to be the same, parallel. Right? It can't just, the self has to be the same wherever it is. If it's in the mind, then it would be in the soul. If it's the personality,
Yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, Marantia self is the soul. So mind, soul, and then Marantia self. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
So
the self. The self can mean different things in different form.
I think it has to do with, the free will. Because if they say the free will is in the mind, and they say here, yes, okay, I think we're getting there, because they say that free will is in the human mind, and the soul can't override it, but it can make decisions if you consent, if you give it consent. So, but that's you. So right, you have to give this soul consent. So who is you? You are the self. So who are you? Because you can say you have to give your thought adjuster. You have to allow it to guide you. You. Who are you? That's the self.
Human
one,
mind.
Yeah, the self is the one we talk about when we say you, but you is also your personality. It's the free will part of you that operates in your mind, and then it transfers. The human personality is completely identified with the Marancha self. So the personality is like, but you really can't have a self without a personality. So it's confusing. Let's just say it's a combination of the mind, the free will, and the personality. They're all interrelated. Let's just keep it that way for now. And then it's identified with your mortal mind, and then in this life, more and more with your soul as life goes on, and your self is your Marancha soul, mind, self in the next world. That's all we can go. That's as far as we can go with that.
这自我就是在我们的凡人的时候，就是更多的跟我们的凡人心智认同。那么在下一个世界呢，在下世界呢，人类人格就是我们的自我，就跟灵智性自我，就是我们的灵魂完全认同。所以这个自我的概念在不同的形式、不同的世界、不同的频次当中，大概就是它是进展的变化的。这些词都是有联系的。
The only question I would have that I hope the book answers somewhere is free will a part of your personality or a part of your mind? That's what I'm a little bit confused about.
他说他一直困惑的就是这个自由意志，它是人格的一部分呢，还是人类心智的一部分？
I'm not sure you
But
can have.
the mind is part of the personality, so you cannot tell completely whether or not free will is part of the personality or part of the free mind and in a human mind. They are interwoven. They are part of each one.
No, I don't think so. I think because it says here the human personality is completely identified with the Marancha self. I don't think the personality is integrated with the mortal mind or the Marancha soul. I think the personality is a gift that's given to you. At the same time, you're identified as a being, but I think the mind is a temporary kind of tool that your personality uses to think, to act, to make decisions, to use free will. And then when it goes to the Marancha level, it uses the soul to think, to act, to do free will. But your personality moves from your personality doesn't need your mortal mind. It then goes to your Marancha self, right? So your personality stays. The personality is the one thing that never changes. But the mind, you leave the mortal mind behind. So it's not integrated with your personality. Your personality goes to the next.
人格自由意志，人格就是一个是父给的，它是你成为一个存有，你就是有那个人格。那么心智呢，它是一个临时的工具，让给人格用的。当你到宅下世界的时候，你用的是你的灵魂灵智性的心智是这样的关系。
And then the next paragraph answers a question I had, because I was wondering, is there a human mind? I mean, a mortal mind, a Maranchal soul, and then a separate spirit mind. I wondered about that, but this next paragraph answers that question.
他说下一段回答他的问题，关于就是凡人心智和灵指性心智。你是说you mean the 3.3? This immortal soul.
Yeah, because it says here it is at first wholly Maranchal, but it possesses such a capacity for development that it invariably ascends to the true spirit levels of fusion value. So you don't get you don't leave the Marancha soul behind and replace it with the spirit mind. I was wondering if you did that the same way you replace the mortal mind with the Maranchal mind, but you don't. It evolves with the help of deity, of spirit. Your Maranchal soul evolves into a spirit mind. It says it right here. The immortal soul is at
对，那
first.
这是一个进化的过程，是物质心智进化到灵智性心智，灵智性心智，然后到最后又进化到什么完全的灵性，彻底的灵性。
I'm still going back to the last sentence of the last one that says, the soul is thus the embryo of the future Marancha vehicle of personality identity. So your personality is identified with your mortal being now, and it becomes identified with that soul for all eternity, because that same soul starts off Maranchal, but I'm reading now, but it possesses such a capacity for development that it invariably ascends to the true spirit levels of fusion value, that's when it fuses with the thought adjuster. Usually it fuses with the same spirit that initiated such a creative phenomenon in the creature mind. So our soul began in this mortal life with our spirit thought adjuster collaborating with our mortal mind. The two working together formed this soul. And then eventually it says it fuses the same soul that what usually started by this same spirit usually fuses with that same spirit that gave birth to it to begin with.
对，这个灵魂是未来灵智性人格身份的胚胎，这个是那个思想调整者跟那人类心识、凡人心识这个共同孕育的这么一个 soul 一个灵魂，到最后呢，又要跟这个孕育他的这个灵魂，就是万有之父同样的灵性来进行融合。
So it really possesses, well, this is nice to know. It's nice to know that we have a soul that possesses such a capacity for development that it will ascend to the true spirit levels of fusion. So it's nice to know that our soul is not limited to just the Marantra reality. Our soul has inherent within it the capacity to become more and more spiritualized and to actually become a spirit mind, you know, because everyone has mind. All
那
beings
那个是很高兴能认识到，就是我们的灵魂不光是局限在灵智性体这个形式当中，它还有继续的发展发育这个的能力，它能够一直到这个真正的灵性的层次，可以就是继续进化发展到一个完全灵性的层次。
it says it invariably ascends to the true spirit levels of fusion value. So that seems to say, I think that means that in order to fuse with our adjuster, that soul has to have reached some spirit, you know, already attained spirit value, spirit levels, in order to fuse with the adjuster. So it happens pretty quickly. You're even though you're still a Maranchal being for a long time, you know, as long as you're in the local system, you know, you become a spirit, I think, when you leave for the constellations, but your Maranchal soul has already reached spirit levels in order to fuse with your thought adjuster, which it does on the Maranchal worlds.
我们这个大概灵智性的，在灵智性世界会待很多是这个，那么这个灵智性的心智，但是它经过这些，它是也在不断的进化，对，也一直进化到这个完全灵性的层次，跟万有之父同样的灵性。
So what that means is just like we can start using our Maranchal soul mind here while we're still in our mortal self, our mortal being, we can start using a more spiritualized mind while we're still in our Maranchal being. That's that our minds are always capable of going to the next level, even if we're still on one plane.
所以这个心智哈是可以从凡人呢到灵智性到完全灵性，所以就像我们在这个 凡人世界可以慢慢更多的运用我们的灵魂啊，运用我们的灵魂心智一样，我们其实也可以运用灵性的心智、属灵的心智啊，这都是心智都是有这些的不断进化发展的功能的。
This next paragraph is bizarre. Okay. Both the human mind and the divine adjuster are conscious of the presence of the evolving soul. The adjuster fully, the mind partially. So, I mean, okay, it's weird, but we can explain it pretty easily. It's just saying that, like, even if we didn't read the Urantia book, you can kind of be aware that you have a soul. That's what they're saying. You're kind of aware of it. You kind of know it's there. The thought adjuster completely knows it's there. It's very aware of the soul. The mind kind of aware of it. I mean, that's why we're kind of like confused about what's our spirit, what's our soul. But we talk about our souls. We talk about other people's souls. I mean, we are aware of them. That's all.
对，那这个第4段的第一句就相当于就是说，我们即使是对，就是说他的解释啊，我们即使不读预览家之书，我们的意识也知道有灵魂这回事，所以就是也部分的意识到这
So
个
this is
灵魂的实相。那个当然了，信仰调整者更高级的心识，他是完全意识到，但是心智部分的意识到。我们经常谈论这个灵魂这个事，虽然我们不大了解灵性啊、灵魂啊这些的区别。
so so this is where it gets really, 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 I will just say very Urantia booky. Very Urantia booky.
他说这下边的讲述非常的具有预言下之书的特色。
It says the soul becomes increasingly conscious of both the mind and the adjuster as associated identities proportional to its own evolutionary growth. So, I mean, it makes sense. It's just it's all so crazy. But the soul is just forming. It's like a fetus. It's like a forming entity from nothing becoming, it's just forming. So what they're saying, excuse me, it's not, when it's first forming, it's not aware of the thought adjuster and the mind, it's just, but after a while it becomes more and more aware of the thought adjuster and of the mind. So it's just so crazy because just to have all these separate entities inside of us.
对，他就说那个灵魂啊，随着他的不断的成长，因为灵魂就像一个小胎儿一样哈，它是一个形成当中的这么一个存有物，他一开始没有意识到，然后慢慢的更加意识到，就是孕育它的两方，一个思想调整者，一个是我们的物质心识，那么越来越意识到这两方的一个相连的合作的关系。
The reason I say it's so Urantia booky is because, I mean, it's not so far out there, so wild to say, hey, we have a soul and our mind is aware of our soul. That's not so far-fetched. But no one except this book, this Urantia book, nowhere else would they say, okay, if your mind is aware of your soul, why wouldn't your soul be aware of your mind?
对，我们往往会说啊，我们的心智知道灵魂的存在，但是呢， 实际上，对吧？那灵魂也意识到我们心识的存在。
I mean, I wish I didn't read that, because now that's making my mind want to explode.
对，这个读到这些，哎，大脑就是有点要爆炸了。
Because now I've got a mind that's aware of a soul, that's aware of a mind, that's aware of a thought adjuster, that's aware of the soul and the mind, that's aware of the, I mean, I've got a lot of beings aware of each other in my head.
对，我头脑里边有这么多的存有在里边，就互相意识到彼此的存在。
So we have to, just to stay sane, we have to just say, hey, if the mind knows, you could just say, if our minds know that we have a soul, our soul also knows that we have a mind. Just try to make it sound normal.
对啊，如果我们的心识呢意识到灵魂的存在，那么灵魂肯定意识到心识的存在啊，这个是非常合理的、理性的推测。
So now the soul is forming, but it says here, it's becoming aware of the soul, increasingly conscious of both the mind and the adjuster as associated identities proportional to its own evolutionary growth. So the more it grows, the more it's aware of these other associated identities. The soul partakes of the qualities of both the human mind and the divine spirit. So we know that the Moranchal reality is a different reality, but it has qualities of the spirit, and it has qualities of the mortal mind. It's neither, but it has qualities of both.
对，那么这个灵魂呢，它参与和拥有这个心识和思想调整者的品质和实相，它不是其中任何一个，但是它是参与他们两方的实相的和品质的。
But it's saying, even though it partakes of the qualities of both the human mind and the divine spirit, it persistently evolves toward augmentation of spirit control and divine dominance through the fostering of a mind function whose meanings seek to coordinate with true spirit value. So that's tricky, but it's saying that as it evolves, it's leaning towards spirit control and divine dominance. It wants to be more like the spirit than like our mind. It's going in that direction. It wants to, just like we want to become more spiritual and more soulful, the soul wants to become more spiritual. That's what it's saying.
对，它就虽然分享它两方的一个品质，但是呢，总的来讲，它的方向呢是寻求与真正的灵性价值协调啊，朝着更加的灵性控制和神性支配的目标。
And when it says through the fostering of a mind function whose meanings seek to coordinate with true spirit value, I don't know if they're saying that the soul has a mind function, or more likely they're saying that while it's evolving and becoming more spiritualized, it's also fostering our mortal minds to seek and to want to coordinate with our spirits, with true spirit value. I think that's what they're saying. Because I think they're saying the soul and the mind as two different things. I don't think they're talking about the soul, the mind of a soul. So let's just assume they're saying that while it's evolving towards more spiritual augmentation and divine dominance, through it's doing this by fostering our minds to seek true spirit value. Let's just yeah, that's what I think that's what it's saying.
倾向于理解最后一句话，就是相当于随着这个进展呢，它会慢慢的，灵魂会慢慢的就是帮助我们培养这种心智功能，就是越来越相当于倾向于朝向这个灵性的控制的方向啊，去发展这样的一种心智功能，灵性化，寻求灵性化。
But we know that's true because we know that the soul is always guiding us toward the spirit. We know that it's not just saying, hey, use your soul and then we're fine. It's saying it's always leading us and guiding us. The soul loves the spirit, so you want to, the more soulful you get, the more spiritual you get. It's one leads to the other. It's kind of like a bridge between the mind and the spirit. In a way it is. In a way the soul is the bridge between the mind and the spirit. If you have trouble hearing your spirit or having it guide you, it might be a good way to do that might be to just start learning to think with your soul, which is just a little more soulful thinking than your regular mind. It's your higher mind, super conscious mind. So that might be a good bridge to your spirit, rather than just go from mortal mind to God. You might want to use the soul as a way of getting closer to God.
他就说那个灵魂啊，相当于在我们的凡人心智跟那灵性之间的一个桥梁，对吧？如果我们想要更加灵性，那我们就是要用高一点的心智的部分，就是我们的灵魂的部分去思考。嗯不能一下子说就是到了神性的，然后把凡人心智，然后一下子就到那个灵性的，这之间是需要一个桥梁，就是我们的灵魂，就是心智当中更高的部分，超物质的部分。
So, okay. The mortal career, the soul's evolution, is not so much a probation as an education. They're talking about this life here on earth, our first life. The mortal career, the soul's evolution. So the mortal career and the soul's evolution is the same thing. During this mortal career, our soul is evolving. It's getting ready for the next world, the Morancha world. But they're saying it's not so much a probation as an education. That's because sometimes it feels like a trial. If we can get through this, then we'll make it. We're being tested, we're being tried, and they're saying, no, you're being educated, you're learning, you're not being punished. You're not in trouble. You're just getting a really, really good education down here.
对，这是第5段呢，强调我们的凡人生涯哈，为什么我们要有这个过凡人的生活这个经验，它是对灵魂的进化来讲是一种教育提升的过程，而不单单是一种实炼或者一种惩罚。
And then they just give us a nice little lightweight sentence. Faith in the survival of supreme values is the core of religion. So let's just start there. Faith. So, a lot of people just say faith is religion, but they're saying faith in the survival of supreme values. So why wouldn't supreme values survive? I don't.
这宗教这一句是对至高价值续存的信仰是宗教的核心。
But it's faith in the. So we don't know.
Faith means that there exists the supreme value. There is
Yeah,
permanent
believe.
value there. So there's some eternity related to the faith belief in eternity.
Yes, because and not just eternity, but supreme values like the most supreme values are goodness, love, truth, beauty. Those are supreme values, and they're saying that we have to believe that they survive. They're eternal, like you said, they're eternal. They're not going to end. They're not going anywhere. They're always going to be forever. And if we believe that, if we have faith in that, that is the core of religion. That's no one else says that, but that's what this book is saying.
Yeah，就相当于就是对真善美这些至高价值的这个信念，并且相信这些美的、善的它的永存性。这个是真正的宗教的核心。
It's like if we believe that it's solid and it's real, then everything else can be built around that, right? That one core value of like supreme values, like ultimate good, ultimate love, ultimate justice, ultimate truth. Those are supreme values. And if we have faith in those, we never doubt that we'll die for those, right? We know they'll be with us for without those there is no universe, there is no life, there is no reality, nothing makes any sense. So if you believe in those and they're abstract, that's what religion is, because you can't weigh it, you can't measure it, you can't put it in a shopping cart and buy it,
那对，就对终极的最高形式的这爱呀，最高意义的爱呀，正义的那真理啊，这些的追求啊，我们就愿意为这些的终极的价值去死。这个是宇宙的，跟这个最终的宇宙的意义啊、生命的意义啊、实相啊，都是相连的。
So they're saying believing in those values, but that those values survive. They survive death. They survive just that the world can blow up, the universe can blow up. Those values will never die. They're real, and they're what makes everything worth living. They're what makes reality make sense. If we believe that, then we have a religion. That's the core of our religion. That's what it's saying.
对，就是相信这些是我们的生命的意义。对，这个就是一个宗教。
I mean, I thought God was the core of religion, but apparently supreme values is the core of religion, because I mean religion, I think they're saying, is really it's not a man-made concept, but it's a concept. It's a belief system. That's what they're saying. Yeah. It's the faith is the religion.
信仰就是宗教。对，信仰这些终极的价值，就是一个中心的宗教。
It's true, because you could not even believe in God if you just believed in the survival of supreme values. You could still be very religious.
对，你可能不信神，但是你对这些至高价值续存的信仰也是一个宗教。
You know, like maybe like Confucius or something.
对，比如说对儒家思想的那些的
You
遵
know,
守。
like someone who had a very strong religion, but not a very clear concept of God.
有的人对神也没有什么特别清楚的那个知识，但是他也可以，like we believe in Tao, we believe there is some
Yeah,
absolute law of universe in the
yeah,
universe, and that is also a religion.
yeah. And then exactly that's what, because it's not mentioning God in it, but you know, so they're right, because that is a religion and it's a valid religion, you know, and it's you could
相
go
当于，
you
比
could
如
go
说，
pretty far with that.
比如说我们中国人相当于也许不一定说信神，但是我们信道啊，信这个天地间有一种不悖的这个运作的法则来规范所有的那个事物的运作呀，这个其实也是一个很这种强烈的信仰，也是属于宗教。
And then it says genuine genuine religious experience consists in the union of supreme values and cosmic meanings as a realization of universal reality. Let me think about that. Okay, genuine religion, we'll just break it down. Genuine religion, so they're talking about that's the core of religion. Now they're talking about genuine religious experience. So that's, you know, different than what religion is, right? Now we're talking about having a real religious experience, and what that consists of is the union of supreme values, okay? And cosmic meanings as a realization of
最
universal.
后一句是真正的宗教体验在于至高价值和宇宙意义的合一，是对宇宙实相的领悟。Yeah, nothing wrong, nothing. It is true.
I guess so. It's a little bit hard for me to put my head around. I think the union of supreme value. Okay, so you have those supreme values because they're just sitting there. They're just values. Yes, that's what they're saying. They're just values. Now it's saying you have to do something with them to have a religious experience. You have to feel something or think something about them, right? They're just goodness, truth, beauty. That's not a religious experience. Those are just there. That's a belief. You just believe that, right? Now they're saying when you apply when you combine those with cosmic meanings, when you start applying them to your life or to reality or to insight or to thoughts, to ideas, and then it enhances, then you have a realization about reality. Yes, I get it. That's a religious experience.
Yeah. Okay, next paragraph.
Okay, next paragraph. Mind knows quantity, reality, meanings. Okay, that's the mortal mind. Quantity, reality, meanings. But, oh, I love this paragraph. But quality, values is felt. That which feels is the mutual creation of mind, which knows, and the associated spirit, which reality rises.
Reality arises.
Yeah, that's a very Marancha. I mean, Urantia word there, you know, realityises. You're not going to see that anywhere else. Okay, so what I love, this is the only place I think this is written is you know, when you feel something, it's not your mind. And they're telling us, because this is something you never really know. Is it, when I feel something, is that my spirit? Is that, what's that? It's not my mind. I feel it, right? And they're saying, yes, it's your spirit. It's that which feels is the mutual creation of mind, which knows. And that's why it's so hard to put your finger on, because it's the combination of your mind, which knows, and your spirit, which you're saying the spirit reality is. What they mean by that is it's beyond knowing. Your spirit is knowing. It's reality. It's the deepest, most complete reality that can be. It's everything. It's the truth.
对，就这个灵性它是创造实相的，所以它这个英文词当中，就是 reality 实相啊，然后这个加一个动词的结尾，就是相当于是带来实相的，是能做的，是那个是灵性能做，心智它只能够认识、认知啊，它认知一定的是创造被创造的实相的这些的数量啊、实相啊、意义，它可以心智可以赋予这些意义，但是创造的主体是那个能做的灵性，它是这样的一个关系。而这两者，这个感受到的东西，这个感受呢，是能知的心智与相关的能做的灵性的共同创造感受。And then and the feeling, and then is the function of the soul, because soul is also, they come, it's a creation of the mind and the spirit, and also whatever can feel as the function of the soul. So the soul
Well,
can
it
feel.
doesn't say that, but it's probably true. Now it doesn't. The only reason I'm saying it might not be completely true is because the mind can also communicate directly with the spirit without going through the soul. Right? They're three separate things. You don't have to go through the soul to connect to your spirit at all.
这三者嘛，心智啊、灵魂呐、灵性啊，然后心智可以让灵性知道一些东西，不一定是通过这个灵魂啊，也有直接的关系。
And your soul is evolving, and you feel things before your soul, even when your soul has just started to evolve, you still have very strong feelings. But I think what happens is when you feel things, your mind is in sync. It's aligned with what your spirit your mind knows it, but your spirit like confirms it, says, yes, this is reality. Yes, this is aligned with reality. It's not fake. It's not false. You're not denying anything. You're not fooled. You're not being ignorant or brainwashed or deceived. Like it's right there. It's like you're in the moment. You're transcending the moral you're going right into reality, which transcends mortal, morantial, it's just is. And that's why feelings are so powerful. But as your soul evolves, when you have those feelings, your soul will also be in complete alignment, right? Because it's your spirit and your mind, and that all three probably would be in alignment. I'm just guessing.
那
Or
这感受
or
呢，
or
反馈给
sometimes you
心
might
智呢，那个对，就是确定，那么心智感受，心智所理解的是不是实相，就是感受到的实相是不是真的实相，大概这个意思。
But Ricky, I think you're right in the sense that it told us that as we evolve, our minds are thinking more and more with our souls in unison. And I think that when we think with our souls, it's more of a feeling thinking. And that would be because of the influence of the spirit. The soul is the mind and spirit. So it's more of a feeling thinking. So we can probably also feel with our soul as our soul evolves. We can probably, this stuff gets complicated, but we can probably do it in 2 different ways.
随着灵魂的进展呢，我们更多的跟灵魂，就是思想跟灵魂保持一体了，那么就是可以用感觉的思考，相当于用心来思考，用心去感受，那么就是越来越一致了，这3者就是越来越一致。
And so then it says, insofar as man's evolving Marancha soul becomes permeated by truth, beauty, and goodness as the value realization of God consciousness, such a resultant being becomes indestructible. Wow. If there is no survival of eternal values in the evolving soul of man, then mortal existence is without meaning, and life itself is a tragic illusion. But it is forever true. What you begin in time, you will assuredly finish in eternity, if it is worth finishing. And that is so beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So let's go to the first sentence. Insofar as man's evolving Marancha soul becomes permeated. Okay, your soul becomes permeated by truth, beauty, and goodness as the value realization of God consciousness. And then such a result of being becomes indestructible. So the more God permeates your soul, and it permeates it with truth, beauty, and goodness, because God is truth, beauty, and goodness, the more your soul becomes indestructible, because anything that's filled with God is indestructible.
对，神它本身它就是真理、美和良善嘛。那么灵魂如果浸透了神的这些的素质，它就是，对，就是不可磨灭的，就是成为一个神的意识的价值体现。
I just don't know why you still have the I don't know why it says even after survival, the ascending mortal still retains this prerogative of choosing to reject eternal life at any time before fusion with the adjuster. The evolving and ascending creature can choose to forsake the will of Paradise Father. So if your soul is indestructible, how could you reject God and choose not to survive? If your soul was indestructible, I don't understand that.
I think this book it just emphasized the free will. Your free will always prevail.
Well, I think maybe it says it right here. It says, insofar as man's evolving Marancha soul becomes permeated by truth, beauty, and goodness. It's not saying in this lifetime. That could be in the Marancha worlds. As the value realization of God consciousness, such a result of being becomes indestructible. So it's saying insofar. So maybe some people, even in the Marancha worlds, they're not moving as fast. They're not, their soul's not evolving, not becoming permeated by truth, beauty, and goodness to the point where they become indestructible. Maybe they're choosing to reject survival before it becomes indestructible. I mean, they must be, because once it's indestructible, how could they reject God?
对，那么你成为不可磨灭的不灭的之后，你怎么能够还不选择续存，不选择跟神融合？那这个进化中的灵智性灵魂，那当然就有可能你这种进化，你可以继续在灵智性世界里边继续去进行进化，更充满了真理、美和良善。嗯。
And then they say, if there is no survival of eternal values in the evolving soul of man, then mortal existence is without meaning. Now that's interesting because they're talking about survival of eternal values, and they said the core of religion was faith in the survival of supreme values. And now they're saying if there is no survival of eternal values, so that's very similar, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the evolving soul of man. So basically, if you don't have religion, if you don't, if this doesn't exist, then mortal existence is without meaning. That's what life without religion is without meaning.
就没有信仰的人生就是没有意义的，因为他没有选择想要跟永存，想要达到永久的续存。
So they're saying that the core of religion is to have faith in the supreme values, in the survival of supreme values, and they're saying the survival of eternal values in your soul is what gives life meaning, which is true.
对，就是这个灵魂本身并且是达到永恒价值续存这种。
Without this, if there is no eternal values in your soul, then mortal existence is without meaning. Even this life here, if you don't have a soul with eternal values, then I mean, I agree. Then life is just. I mean, you may as well just, shop all day, or you know what I mean. I mean, I suppose you could like climb mountains or surf, or try to have fun with nature while you're here, but it's just, why even do it if it's all going to end and then you're going to forget it and be gone. It really, the only, it's the eternal values that do give life, mortal existence, meaning. And they're saying
当然，
without
我
it,
们也在
life is
肉
a tragic illusion.
的。啊，就当然，我们在这个凡人生活是要寻求一些的快乐呀。但是如果我们没有想要永久的续存，那么实际上肉身的生活也没有什么意义。
And then this beautiful last sentence, what you begin in time. And you have to realize they don't lie in this book. So that they say it's, I mean, if you believe the book, you believe the book. So if you believe the book, you believe that everything they're saying is true. So they're saying what you begin in time, you will finish in eternity, if it is worth finishing. So we worry so much about, our bucket list, and like, do you all know what a bucket list is?
Bucket list, the things to do.
Yeah. We all have a bucket list, the things we want to do before we die, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And like they're saying, don't worry about the bucket list. Everything you begin, you will finish. And that means everything. That means every thought, every desire, every longing, every like anything you put in motion the motion will continue, unless it's worthless, unless it's some stupid thing you don't really want anyway. They're saying
Um,
everything will be finished in eternity. Because God is so loving and so good, he's like, you can have it. You can do it. Why not? He wants us to be happy.
对，他每一个人都有一个想要实现的愿望的清单，那死前需要达成的一些愿望。那么实际上呢，你所有的愿望啊、渴望啊，只要你开始行动了，或者开始孕育了，那么都会被完成的。在时间里边，你在永恒里边，你都会被完成，做完，除非你那个是没有意义的，你那些的渴望是没有意义的，否则的话都会在永恒当中被完成的。
You know, we obsess in this world. We obsessed with what we're reaching for. We're reaching for this. We're reaching for that. We're reaching for the rings. We're reaching for that high shelf. We're reaching for the top of that mountain. And this is just saying, you know, don't worry about you can just enjoy the reaching. Keep reaching. Just reach all the time. Just enjoy the reaching. It's not about getting the thing on the shelf. You have all of eternity to get that thing on the high shelf. So just
对，
do a
我们
lot of
往往
reaching.
在乎说，哎，我要够到那个高的地方的东西，架子上高的架子上的东西，我要爬到山顶。那相当于这本书启示我们就是享受这个努力去达成目标的这个过程。那么你有所有的时间去最终达成，对，享受过程吧。Yeah.
So that, you know, don't we say, oh, I'm trying not to stutter today. I just stuttered. We say, don't start something you can't finish. They're saying, you'll finish everything worth finishing.
嗯哼，我们经常被告诫说要有始有终，不要虎头蛇尾。但是这本书教导我们说，你总是会有时间完成你开始的。
Yeah, I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
I think they're encouraging us to reach for everything.
That's a big assurance。就是他这本书鼓励我们去努力去够，就是你努力你就去努力，对，你什么东西你想去做什么就去做，不要在乎说，哎，我能不能坚持下去啊？哎，我能不能最终达成目标啊？对吧？你不要这样那么着重结果。
The only thing, I'm just going to make a little confession here.
我要有一个小小的坦白。
Another one. I always make one each week, right? So
他
my
总是每个礼拜都承认坦诚一点事情。
my confession this week is that, you know, I think that maybe when we're mighty messengers, maybe we can come back to this planet, but actually I think we get assigned to other super universes. I'm pretty sure we do when we're mighty messengers. Like after we meet God and we're in the core finality, I think we get assigned to others. I'm pretty sure we get us. That's when we finally get assigned to the other super universes, because until we meet God, our entire career is in this universe. This one, there's 7 super universes, and our entire career is in this one super universe of Orvantan. So after we meet God, it would make sense that we'd be assigned to other super universes. So here's my confession. Well, you can translate that and then I'll tell you my confession.
但是因为我们就是这些人，你有可能那个被将来终局者团队之后都会成为那个强大使者嘛。那成为强大使者之后，有可能是再派回地球执行任务啊，或者是被分配到其他的超级宇宙去执行任务。
They say that after we're in the after we die and go to the Mirage worlds, we're not allowed to come back here to this planet. We're not allowed to come, and haunt our ancestor, our progeny, or we're not allowed to come back here for. I don't know if we're.
他说他那个预言家之说好像是不被允许回到原来的星球。Why? You said we are not allowed to come back to.
Yeah,
Earth.
yeah.
Okay.
Now maybe, hopefully, when we read, we'll find out. But maybe later on, after we're spirits, like long time. But when we're in the Mirage worlds, definitely not.
这可能其他的世界，但是绝对不会在月亮下，不允许回到月亮下。
And after we're mighty messengers, we get assigned to other super universes that are very, very far away.
又被分配到其他的超级宇宙，可能很远很远。
So I'm not sure if we're ever going to come back to this planet. I think at some point, it says anything we start, we'll be able to finish if it's worth finishing. So my confession is that I don't think we should worry about accomplishing things or finishing things. We'll have all of eternity to reach all of our goals, to be anything we want to be, to learn any instrument we want to play, to write any kind of music we want to write. But I think maybe we should try to see as much of this world as possible because I don't know if we're going to get a chance to come back here.
对，他的意思是说，那个当然我们在勇士里是会，如果达成我们想要开始的那些的愿望，但是呢，总是还是要抓紧时间，在我们凡人的生涯，就是想做啥就去做吧。
I mean,
there will 多久才会回来
there will be a billion, 10 billion, 20 billion, a trillion other worlds to visit. So it's not like we won't find similar things, and interesting things. But this is our home. This is our birthplace.
对，这是我们出生的地方嘛。我们可能要参观游历其他上百上千上万上亿的新世界，但是这是我们出生的星球。
We'll always be Urantians.
我们总是对月亮下人。
So, you know what they do? They do have though. They have like simulations. I think they have very realistic simulations.
对，他想起来，好像有一些模拟世界。
So it may be almost like going there.
对，你可以去。Yeah, I think you mentioned about constructed world, and that is very similar to simulation, right?
They do. They have all kinds of crazy, simulations of everything. There's so many amazing things. There's probably a way to go without actually going or something.
Yeah. Anyway, they are all games of minds, consciousness. So you can fulfill your dream, in those simulated reality, no matter what.
Yeah, they'll probably let us. I should probably stop worrying about it so much.
对，他说他应该停止忧虑那些事情，因为他们那时候会有很逼真的那种的模拟系统，就是你很多的梦想都可以在这种模拟现实当中实现，大概这都不是问题。他说他大概也不应该忧虑这些梦想的实现的事情。
Okay, well, this was a long session.
Yeah, it is. It is
real long. So I'm gonna go right now because I have some banking business. That was that phone call. Emergency banking business.